I'm on a quest to find the best climbing gym in New York City, and today I'm at GP81. They are the highest rated gym in the city, so I'm going to put that to the test as I try to send every single V5. But first, I gotta warm up. The first thing I noticed is that the walls are pretty dense, but that just means more climbs. The only downsides are that you might dab more, and it can be hard to find the right holds, but that's a small price to pay in my opinion. Another thing I noticed is that this is the slabbiest wall they have, and I think most of it is actually vertical, so maybe this isn't the best place for practicing slab. But hey, with the right volumes, you can kind of make your own bootleg slab. This V3 feels like a big step up in difficulty. The crimps are a lot worse than I'm used to on V3, especially since all the holds on the previous climbs were juggy. The crimps are so thin that standing on them feels a lot sketchier than the average foothold. This top section is interesting because the last 3 holds are all side pulls, which means you have to rely on close compression. Moving the feet feels super delicate. I can't see the foot on the left, so I make an off-balance throw to the last hold, and luckily, it's good. This V2 looked out of place because of the big holds and compy style, so I had to give it a try. It begins with pressing up into the start hold. Then, I have to shift left to make space for a high right foot. I stand up and get a really deep lock off to reach the next hold. I flip my hand to oppose the side pull. Flipping my hand also lets me mantle on the hold once I get my feet up. I get a back step so I can push up into the last hold. Then, I twist my hips the other way so I can reach with my other hand. They packed so much cool movement into this one, and it's easily my favorite climb so far. This gray V4 starts on a couple of slopey holds. Then, there are 2 slopey crimp side pulls. There's an overhead press, a sloper, a vertical pinch, and a crimp before finishing on the top edge. The beginning part is pretty chill. Once you get to the 2 side pulls, it becomes a very delicate slab climb. I think about a higher foot, but the lower one lets me keep my hips closer to the wall. Rocking over this left foot feels hard, because it makes the sloper feel so bad. It might not look like it, but the lock off to the pinch is desperate. Matching the pinch is super uncomfortable. I sell for a meat hook Gaston. Luckily, the crimp is good and I get the send. But wow, what an unexpectedly technical and sketchy climb. This purple V5 starts on a good hold, and then you go to 2 small flat crimps. You make a big move to a flat hold, and then there's a tricky finish. The crimps aren't actually that bad since you have good feet. I hit the next hold perfectly, and I just stick effortlessly. This next move feels sketchy because the foothold is just a smear on a pretty vertical volume. I finally trust it and lock off to a very shouldery Gaston. I mantle off my left hand and stand up onto that foot. I mantle on my fingertips as I try to get a high right foot. The position is awful and my entire body starts shaking, but I'm able to get my left foot up and get the send. That ending was terrifying, and I feel like I would have gotten injured if I fell. I move on to this green V5 in the steepest part of the gym so I can get the physical stuff out of the way early while I still have energy. But this climb honestly just looks like a jug ladder. This one didn't really have any interesting moves. No heel hooks or drop knees like I'd expect. mostly just toeing in on high feet and keeping tension, which is a technique on its own, I guess. But yeah, it's basically just a jug ladder. This white V5 is also mostly jugs. There are a few smaller in-cut crimps in there, but I expected it to be about the same as the last climb. Here I get a little back flag, so the movement is already more interesting than the last climb. There are also holds out right on the less steep wall, and a cooler rep feature. There's another little back flag, and then I swap feet to go into a deep hip turn. For the next move, I get another back flag and toe hook the arete. For the finish, I get a deep drop knee. Even though they had the same grade, this boulder has a lot more movement options than the last one, with back flags, hip turns, and toe hooks. I didn't expect to flash 3 V5s already, so I decided to try this blue V6. All of the holds are big and positive, but they're slopier than the previous climbs. Once you get around the lip, you finish on some flat holds. Right off the bat, I have to be more intentional about how I place my feet and position my body on these holds. I get a hand heel match, but it doesn't feel great, and it ends up popping. This time, I place the toe hook to bicycle the hold, and it still doesn't feel great, but I'm able to keep my feet through the next couple of moves. This hold looks so big that I thought it would be easy to match, but I couldn't really fit 2 hands on it. I toe hook the arete and turn my hip in, but can't keep my feet when going to the crimp. I keep my left foot low and turn my hip in, and I'm able to get the crimp statically, but it felt pretty stretched out and strenuous to keep tension. The next move around the lip is big and intimidating, and the left foothold feels really slippery. I'm able to grab it and cut feet, but it's way smaller than I thought it would be. I get a hand heel match, but as soon as I move my hand, the heel pops. It's funny that I fell trying to heel hook the same slopey hold at the bottom and at the top. This time, I toe into it, and I'm able to match and do the end sequence with control. So let's give it a burn from the bottom. I learned from my mistakes and toe into the slopey hold instead of heel hooking it. This time, I'm a lot more pumped once I get around the lip, so the end sequence is pretty desperate. I was pretty surprised to put down a V6 in a few attempts, so I try another one. You start by traversing left on positive pinches and in-cut crimps. You get to a couple of slopey jugs, and you go straight up on more crimps and pinches. The footholds on this bottom section are so bad. Somehow, I swap feet and turn my hip in, but I'm not able to replicate it for the rest of the session. I backflag and go for the next hold, but I'm so greasy that I slip from the right side all the way to the left side. This time, I put my left foot on the wall and put more pressure through it, and I can stick the move. I get to the slopey jugs, but my foot pops and I can't stay on. I try from there, and the next move isn't too bad. I go for the next hold, but can't keep tension in my right foot. This time, I keep my feet and can get my left foot up to match hands. The feet for the last move feel really awkward. I think about keeping both feet on and making a big move with my hips square. I go to the foothold on the left, but it's too far out to the side. I keep one foot and turn my hip in, but I'm only able to touch the bottom of the last hold. The foot felt way too high to generate from. I use a lower foothold and I reach further, but absolutely destroy my elbow on that big yellow hold. This time, I'm able to get it and I can get the match statically. So let's give it a burn from the bottom. Remember how I said these starting footholds are bad? Yeah, I can't even keep my feet on. I come up with this new beta where I match the start hold with a high right foot, and that lets me skip the bad footholds. I didn't actually start from the beginning since I was testing new beta, so I get about halfway up and then drop. This time, I get a drop knee and cross before getting the high right foot. I'm not sure if it's better though. By the time I get to the last move, I'm super pumped and can't even generate. Maybe I can get it when I'm fresh, but it's definitely not happening now. So I move on to this green V5. It starts on a jug undercling. You out left on in-cut crimps, and then go straight up. You finish on a couple of jugs. When I got to the crimps, I realized how tired I am from projecting those steep V6s. My finger strength was giving out, and I could barely hold on. Next up is this gray V5. Every hold is a slopey jug. Some of the moves are big and burly, but I think the most interesting part of the climb are the foot choices. In the beginning, I go for more dynamic moves with back flags, and later, I go for higher feet with more tension. This yellow V5 is pretty crazy. You're on two in-cut side pulls and have to make a big move to a sloper. I cut feet and there's no way I'm staying on. This time, I'm able to keep tension through that right foot. The next move is also pretty big, and I have to control a huge swing with a lot of rotation. Luckily, the hold is pretty good. But the next two crimps are way worse than I expected. I go for the next move, but it's hard to keep tension on the left foothold. This time, I match my hand with a heel and can get the move statically. But I'm so cooked that I can't even move. Next, I tried this blue V5. It starts with a tensiony drop knee. This next move to a slopey jug is huge. I get a left heel hook, but it doesn't do much since I actually jump off with my right foot. But I hit the hold too far on the right and come off. I go with my other hand, but catch it too far left. I fight really hard, but dynamically loading my fingers like that while I'm fatigued feels like a bad idea. So I move on to this green V5. Unfortunately, it's a crimp line. And I begin to realize that most of the climbs here are crimp lines, which is not great for my tired fingies. My foot slips during the swap, and honestly, I probably should have used the higher foothold for something. But I try the climb from there. I skip a left-hand intermediate and make a big move, but can't quite get it. This time, I use the intermediate. It's a lot easier since it's closer and just straight up instead of up and to the right. My fingers start to fail me, and as soon as I move my right hand, I come off. I have time to try one more climb, and unfortunately, it's yet another crimp line. This one is actually a lot more straightforward, and the holds are better for full crimping. I get about halfway up and then hit a wall, which kinda stinks because I think I could easily flash it while fresh. But after my session, what do I think of GP81? First, let's talk about their training tools. They have a decent gym setup with dumbbells, a couple of racks, and benches. They also have all sorts of hang boards, a few campus boards, a decoy board, and a tension board too. Overall, a pretty solid setup. The only thing I could ask for is another commercial board or spray wall. Another thing I want to talk about is the size of the gym. It's not that big, but they make up for it by setting very densely. I'm always a fan of more climbs. Next, I want to talk about their route setting. They definitely emphasize traditional climbing, and most of the boulders are crimp lines. I didn't see a lot of coordination climbs, dynos, or technical slabs. Also, most of the walls are pretty steep. I think less than 1/4 of the gym is vertical, and the rest is 15 to 60 degrees overhang. So with the setting and terrain, I think you'd have a hard time becoming a good competition or slab climber. And for that, I would put this gym in B tier. Now, my tier list mostly measures training tools and route setting, but I feel like I should talk about why this is the highest rated climbing gym in New York City. And that would be the vibes. It's very different from a commercial gym. People come to climb hard, and you don't have to deal with birthdays and kids running around underneath you. GP81 gives you a chance to join a climbing focused community, which is invaluable. But what do you think of this gym? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you'd like to see more New York City climbing gym reviews, check out this playlist right over here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!